mic up. This is legacy emotion. For vision of victory, trailblazing the path. Mind sharp, words heavy, every bar got class. Iconic by nature, pioneer by design. History in the making every time she aligns. Doctorate dreams, but the roots run deep. Built from the grind, now the whole world speaks. Culture, purpose, power when she steps in the room. Drop gems so real, make the future zoom. Yeah.
This is iconic pioneers. Hear the story unfold, where the fearless lead and the truth gets told. Every voice legendary, every lesson precise. Hosted with wisdom, Dr. Tabatha Russell on the mic. Press play. Stay ready. The movement starts now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Iconic Pioneers podcast, the space where disruptors, trailblazers, and bold thinkers gather to rewrite the rules of success. I'm your host, Dr. Tabatha Russell, and on the show today, I have the distinct pleasure of having Mr. Shay Brown. Can I just say that he is super amazing? You're going to really enjoy this interview with him on today. So welcome in, Shay. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Tabatha, for having me here. Thank you for having this platform. Thank you for having a place and space that folks can come to not only hear about the journey of other individuals, but to learn so their life is much better. When their life is much better, their family and their community is better off. So you're not only having an impact on Shay Brown today, but you have an impact on the world. So thank you for all that you do, and your team that does all the work behind the scenes. I mean, I know you're the one in the front, but behind the scenes, that's where the magic really happens.
Oh, yes, definitely. The team is where it's at. So thank you so much for being here. Share with everyone, our listeners on today, who you are and the genius that you share with the world.
Sure. I'm still trying to figure out who I am, by the way. I know I did learn a lot from Mother Dear. I happen to be a son. So Mother Dear is someone I'm happen to be a caregiver for today. So I guess you can say I'm a caregiver, by the way. Mother Dear retired from the government at 55 after 37 years of service. And one of the things I learned from her was all about serving. And so for the last 23 years, she's been retired doing absolutely nothing. So that's a blessing. I also know that I'm a husband, by the way. So I'm married to Carla. And so I guess you would say I have the husband responsibilities. Someone who I was in love with in high school. She didn't recognize me in high school as that type of guy, by the way. But we connected now for the last 16 years. She's been the love of my life. So I got the cheerleader I always admired when I was a kid. So I guess I'm someone who's been blessed to be in that regard. But I'm also the oldest of three. So, I mean, three. I have myself, my brother, and we have two sisters. So I get to play the brother role as the oldest, but then also have two sons. They're grown now. And so I've had the opportunity to go through that journey. So I might be like many of you out there. Some of you are parents, some of you are mentors, but you learn a lot by living through your children, watching them grow and all the mistakes. And I had mine really, really early in college, by the way. Don't judge me, please. So I got a chance to grow up with them, and now they have kids. And so I have a granddaughter, just turned a year, 2 months ago, and I also have a grandson. So my sons are married, just a lot going on. So at the end of the day, you want to know who is Shay Brown. He's someone who's a human being like many of you, pay my taxes, and I'm here not for myself, but to take the gifts and talents I have and serve other folks. So hopefully I'm just like many of you that are sitting at home watching right now and are listening in your ears or wherever you may get a chance to view this. I'm just like you. We're going to do some cool stuff in the world.
Oh, wow. Wow. I love that. Can I just say that Mr. Shay Brown is a little modest, guys. Okay. He is super amazing, doing some awesome things out there. And if you ever get the opportunity to look him up, you're going to be like, wait a minute. He does all of that. Yes, he does all of that and then some. Okay. Thank you so much, Shay, for sharing with us. And I have had the opportunity to see that you definitely are that family person and that caregiver that you talk about, and you're doing so many other amazing things as well. So what does being an iconic leader mean to you personally?
You know, when you hear the word iconic and I hear the word leader, I try to think about what it means, right? Because initially it meant nothing but someone who's really famous, doing some amazing things. But I think back to Mother Dear, and I probably label her as an iconic leader. I think about when I was in the third grade in Miss Kurt's class and I couldn't get the words out being in front of the class. And then they bring me to the principal's office and the principal, Miss Linda Rowland, the counselor, and my mom sit down there and they tell my mom that I have a severe stuttering problem. Now, you think about a kind of leader. I'm thinking about Mother Dear right now because in that moment, although they said I had to go to a special class, when we got home and we didn't have a dining table. I know some of you get to eat at a dining table and it's really fancy. We had like those TV tables, the metal ones back in the day, by the way, and we were watching TV. And she sits next to me on the couch and I'm only in the third grade and I'm eating and she says to me, I never will forget these words. She says, "You don't have a severe stuttering problem." I said, "Of course I do." I mean, I'm thinking to myself, I got a problem. They just put me out the freaking class. I didn't say that, but looking back now, I know I was thinking something like that. But she said, "Here's what it is. You're just smarter than everyone else. It takes a lot longer for the words to get from here out. So you keep speaking, you keep talking, you keep doing what you're doing. You don't have a problem at all." And it was through Mother Dear, and that's what I would say as an iconic leader, someone that sees something in you before you see it in yourself. Mother Dear believed in me before I believed in myself. And it took me all the way till I got to high school to realize that Mother Dear lied to me. Okay, she did flat out lie. I still talk fast. I do have a stuttering problem. But the point that she made, which I think is so true, is leaders oftentimes can see what folks can't see inside them. Now, when you say iconic, that's someone that raises to the next level. Everyone thinks there's a leader. I've never been around a group of folks and said, "Who here don't think they're a leader?" Everyone raises their hand. But one thing I learned from my father, Marshall Brown. Now, Mother Dear, iconic leader. My father, well, he's a revolutionist. But I learned a lot from Dad. I mean, my dad's the direct opposite. I told you earlier, Mother Dear was the one that went to the same job 37 years, same building, saved her money, living the life she wants. Father was the one that just was all over the place. Let's just say that. Don't know how they ever got together. A total bad boy. I have no idea. My mom will tell you today, I have no idea how I married that man. But she did. She did. I said, "Mother, you had to do something right. I'm here and my brother's here, right?" So something was right. But here's what I learned from my father, my iconic leader. He said this. There I was playing baseball. Wasn't very good, by the way, playing baseball in Pee Wee League at all. Wasn't good at sports at all, but I freaking tried. But anyway, he came over to me and he said, "Hey, I want you to always remember this." He's no longer with us, passed in 2017, but he said this. "There's unequals among equals." And so when I think of an iconic leader, I think of someone that's among other leaders. And there's nothing wrong with that. All equally talented, all equally gifted. And then there's that one person that rises above it. Now, it might be because when they're tired, they still keep going and others can't sustain that level of consistency. It might be that they're consistent at what they do. They rise up. It might be their ability to lead other people better than other folks can lead other people, although they're leaders. The iconic leader rises above everyone else and they get things done. And whatever it is, could be in their community, could be in their finances, could be in their health, could be in their life, could be in their business. They're known for getting things done. And here's the key for iconic leaders, according to Shay Brown, who quotes me, it's the consistency. So ever since my father told me there's unequals among equals, whenever I look around in the group I'm in, I hear my father's word, who's going to be the best of the best? The best of the best. Let's say the best, the best of the best. And that's you want to be in. Then you're around iconic leaders.
Oh, that is so good. The best of the best. And you said something else that I thought was really good. Unequal among equals, right? Meaning that you're above everybody else. I absolutely love that. I could tell that both of your parents gave a major impartation into you, and it helped you to become who you are today. So tell us about a defining moment when you realized you weren't built to follow the crowd. Because, I know Shay Brown, right? And I know a lot of other people, but you seem to toe the line all on your own. So tell us about that defining moment.
Yeah, I remember one moment. It's kind of like which one, right? 2009. I was in a business and I had another partner in the business. And at that time, I had a lane. And my lane was helping people be able to serve by selling their products and services, right? So that was our jam. That's what we had studied for. That was our craft, and that's the lane I thought I was in. And I used to tell myself, I am not a techie. And the individual I was with was known to be not only a marketing genius, but also a technical genius. And I stayed out of that lane. And then one day we were having a very high-end broadcast, and we were one of the ones training. And for whatever reason, the partner I was with, he couldn't be there. And so now I'm there. Now, this was back 2009. You got to think, back then we had big boxes, like live stream is what it was called back then. You had a big red box, you had to plug something in, and then that had to be plugged into an HDMI, and sometimes it had to be plugged into an adapter that went to the camera. A lot of moving parts to get to where we are now, where you could watch maybe on your phone, but back then really on your computer. And we prayed we would get 720, right? 720 speed. That's a speed and clarity. You can probably see it's pretty clear now because the world has changed. The point is, it wasn't there. And I had a decision to make. And the decision to make is to be like everyone else and just say, you know what? We've got to cancel this. This is just not going to happen. Instead, I decided and made a decision. Now, you can make a decision and not do anything at all. I've made decisions in life and did nothing. Someone can make decisions they're going to lose weight and never lose weight. Make a decision they're going to spend less than they make, never do that. Make a decision they're going to start a business and write a book and never do a thing. I made a decision, but here's where it came in. I took action and said, I'm going to learn this or figure it out. It took me 3 hours. We were 3 hours late, but I did it. And the reason I say that was a defining moment for myself as an individual, a breakthrough for me as a grown person. Now, I'm grown. Back then, I was in my mid-40s. I'm grown. And for the first time ever, when it worked, first time ever, from that day forth, I never again told myself, I'm not a techie. What I told myself is each day I'm getting better at technology. And that carried me through, Dr. Tabatha, to not only being able to have a sales agency that provides revenue for folks, but to also build a media company and a software company. I mean, it probably would not have happened if it wasn't for that defining moment. Yeah, I would have probably been teaching sales, but to be able to have systems behind it, to be able to build infrastructures, and then later to be able to do media at a high level, I wouldn't have stepped into that, but I've probably been writing books. Nothing wrong with writing books. You should write books. But now we can build communities. Now we can build online media platforms. Forever changed my mind. And so the message I would say to you, that no matter what age you are, no matter what you're going through, I would suggest one thing: expand your comfort zone. Now, I didn't know that's what I was doing then. Okay. I was just like, I'm going to try to do this. Now, it would take freaking 3 hours. So would I do it a second time? Probably not. Okay. But I did it. So expand your comfort zone. It's called comfort zone because you're comfortable. By definition, it might be, beyond your comfort, but it's within your grasp. So I'm going to ask you to reach out and grasp and hold on. When you do that, I promise you, it'll become a defining moment, that moment or many years later.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm sure that somebody is thanking somebody for you having those technology challenges back in the day. I too like to consider myself a techie now, where before it was like, no, I don't want to. But life has a way of forcing you into or out of that comfort zone, but into some greatness. And so I absolutely love that it puts you into the space of having a software company and having a digital media company and all of that. I think that is super amazing. But I know that every leader, and when I say every leader, even the greats, right, face some sort of resistance. So what's one obstacle that almost broke you, and how did you overcome it? Because I know the last defining moment, it probably could have took you out, right? However, tell us about another obstacle that almost broke you and how you overcame that.
Sure. There I was. It was May 31st, 2004. And at that time, I was working for a company, MCI. I had been there 9 years. I've only worked for two companies my entire career. I worked for Citibank after undergraduate, went to Morgan State University, Baltimore, Maryland. Shout out to all the HBCUs, didn't do sales. And then after graduate school, I went to Johns Hopkins University to get my MBA. I worked for Verizon, which was MCI and it became Verizon. And they laid me off that day on May 31st. And that was very devastating for me because by then I was a hot shot. I mean, at least I thought I was a hot shot in my own mind, right? I had risen to director level, by the way. I had stock options. I mean, corporate America, that was going to be my life. I had no intent ever, never, ever want to be no entrepreneur. Why? Why would I want to do that when I got security and a paycheck? And they laid me off, not because I wasn't good enough, but because I was just part of the team that got whacked at the time or let go. And if you ever been hit with the punch you never saw coming, it was in that day. But that wasn't what I had to overcome that almost took me out of here. It was the fact that I started my business. I know, don't cheer for me, but it was pretty cool starting a business. Everybody can start a business. Matter of people start business every day, but 90% of them fail, just to let you know that they don't make any money. And that was me. I was in that 90%, by the way. Didn't go out of business, but after 90 days, I was broke, I was tired, I was struggling, and I was burning through my 401k. Dr. Tabatha would never agree with that right now, but I was double down betting on myself, and I was out of money. And I went through my second divorce. Now, that didn't take me out. I don't want you to feel bad for me, but I told you I'm married again. God's been good to me, but it was my second divorce, and my two sons decided to live with me. Now, here's what almost broke me, by the way. Yes, they were living with me. Yes, I was out of money. Yes, we were going down to the gym to take showers because the lights were cut off, the water was cut off. I didn't have any money. But when my brother gave me $5,000 to go to a seminar to learn in California, Rockland, California, to learn how to build a business, this would almost broke me. The guy was there. And he said, Eric, by the way, he was Tony Robbins' #1 sales guy. He says, why don't you focus on sales? I'd never done sales in my life. What? Sales? Not me. I'm a business consultant. That's what my card said. He said, no, selling equals service. Selling equals service. You can serve other people and solve their problems. Here's what broke me. The business model was to call to businesses and ask if I could be a guest speaker to come in and teach their salespeople and then offer a product at the end. I was running the Tony Robbins model. Now, here's the problem. I never done sales. And that almost broke me because I was like, you want me to call people and ask if I can come teach something that I just learned and they're going to let me do this? No way, impossible. And that almost broke me because as I called, they asked one question. Tell me about your sales experience. Well, I've got zero, but don't worry about that. I'm there for your team. It was hard. Okay, very hard. I had to make lots and lots of calls. Embarrassing. I knew they may not bring me in. But here's why it worked. Other than Eric, I give him credit, gave me the system. I had to make the phone calls. I had a script. But put this in your notes because it almost broke me. But here's why. Now I'm looking back now. Back then it was like, I got to feed some folks. I got to eat or I got to go get a job. And I was not going to get a job. Not to get a job was bad. But here's the point I want to make to you. And here's the big takeaway for you. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad Dr. Tabatha has this. This right here will change your life. I promise you. And here it is. You can be fearful and still take action. No. Check this out. Most people think they got to feel like doing something. Like I got to feel like doing something and then there's action. And when I feel like it, I'll take more action. Total opposite for Shay Brown. I can absolutely feel like doing absolutely nothing and say, you know what? I can still take the action. And that kind of amazing. Like you can still do it anyway, although you don't feel like it. My point is it was because of that belief, because of someone believing in me, Eric. He's like, Shay, you got it in you. Because of me taking the action, that's where the magic happens. And if you ask me what iconic leaders do, you ask me what successful people do, I'll say they just don't quit. Now, sometimes you got to quit. I quit the marriage because it just wasn't working. Well, she quit me because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. There are some situations you quit. But in most cases, if you want to get something, you've got to go through those tough, difficult, dark times with a system, with a plan, with a structure and a message. And if you do that, you will see yourself on the other side. And you might be saying, Shay, what did you tell these people? I'll give you that in 30 seconds, because at some point they would ask, well, then why should I bring you in if you've never done sales? Called a reasonable request at a reasonable time. You think about it, that's very reasonable, right? So I shared this with me. Here's the breakdown. I didn't know what I was doing. I had objection handling scripts. It was too many stuff to look at. So I told him the story of my son. I said, look, your team might be like my son. Okay. My son at the time was 16 years old. He was at Archbishop Carroll, which is a private school in DC. I know, private school broke. I get it. Follow me. It's a struggle. And he came home to me and he said, Dad, guess what? I told it to the guy. I said, what? He said, the football coach says that if I get good grades and score well on my SATs, I can go whatever college I want to. Well, I said to myself, son, that's very brilliant of your coach. Guess who's been saying that for the last 16 years? Me. I must be brilliant. You know, my son said, hurt my feelings. My oldest son has my namesake. Yeah, Che Brown Jr. He said, nah, Dad, you don't get it. He the football coach. He know what he talking about. Well, I told the person that on the phone, I said, your team may be hearing the same message from you. I'm going to come in. It's not cost you anything. Say the same thing, how to set appointments, how to close, and someone's going to take action just because they heard it differently from my perspective, because I've got to do this every day. So I get where they're coming from. That was my first breakthrough. Got my first opportunity. Remember speaking to that cable company. That was back when they had phone systems and phone companies. Remember that? And we started with financial planners and insurance agents because no one else would talk to us. Financial planners needed appointments. They needed to get in front of people. And that was the breakthrough. So my message is, you can be fearful as a leader. You can put a conic if you want in front of it, but you're a leader. You're a leader of one before you're a leader of many. That's what I believe. I heard that somewhere, but it's so true. You lead yourself first. You can be fearful and still take action. Somebody out there, that might be all you need to hear right now.
That's it. That was real good. Look, I wrote that down. Okay, you said take notes. I'm taking notes over here. Okay, that is awesome. I will say that over the course of time, we know that hearing the information from somebody else reinforces, all of the goodness that we've been putting out there. Because I too have grown sons, and one of them was insistent on challenging the status quo, right? Because he's like, Mom, you like the operating the spirit of excellence. Well, I don't know about all of that. I'm not built that way. Let me do things how I want to do it. And I told him simply, the world doesn't care nothing about you, right? And you have to now make your way and make your mark in the world in order to even be considered serious, right? So how do you balance building wealth, influence, and impact without sacrificing your authenticity?
Yeah. One of the ways to do that is to be you. Being you is just beautiful. And you have to not only be you, but take the ownership on the outcomes that take place. Let me tell you, I was at Godwin Middle School, by the way, and I was a wrestler. I know, Shay Brown, a wrestler. I was in the 67-pound weight class. Don't judge me, by the way. I'm a little more than 67 pounds these days, okay? And I wasn't very good, by the way. But the coach, I never will forget this, by the way. He learned so many lessons. It is amazing as a kid. But anyway, the coach used to always tell us, and we used to have this chant before we went out. And the chant was, it's on me. No matter what happens on that mat, no matter what the judge says, no matter if I win or if he pins me, it's on me. The practice that I put in, the time that I put in, the effort that I put in, it's on me. And if they're better than me because I gave my best, that's okay. And I would go out there and I would lose and I would come back and he would ask, what happened? And he asked everybody that, not just me. And I would say, Coach, it's on me. It's on me. Well, you fast forward to now as an adult. How can you apply that in your life? How can you be authentic? It's on me to choose who I want to be. And when I'm the best version of me, for some people, that maybe attracts them and it works for them. And for others, it may not. For some people, Shay Brown talks too fast. That's okay. For other folks, he moves too fast. That's okay. But I still must be the best version of who I am and believe in me. And when you do that and you do the best that you possibly can, the rest doesn't matter. I only wrestled for 1 year, by the way. No, I didn't win a state championship. No, I never came back. It was like number one or anything. But boy, did I learn that lesson that it's on me. And if you're out there right now, it's not on the government. It's not on the Democrats. It's not on the Republicans. It's not on what's going on in the economy. It's not on what's going on at your job. It's not if those folks in the spiritual realm. My mom was a bishop of the church. Can't just always blame the devil, although I know he's there. But we already know he has one job, and that's to stop you. You got to tell yourself, it's on me. It's on me. It's on me. And when you do something I learned from Kobe Bryant, not that I won't get into sports too much on here, you control the controllables. There's two things I believe you control every single day with 100% accuracy. 100%. Only two things. Right? And I want to share this with you because this is how you be authentic. Two things. Number one, you control your mindset. Now, if you're on medication, different conversation. Okay, I'm not going to get into that. But for the most part, you control your mindset. You control that. You control what you're thinking and feeling right now. And number two, you control your actions. You have 100% control over your actions. So focus on your mindset. Focus on taking actions. You do small things well, you're going to get big results. That's the way I believe that you can be authentic. Just be you.
Wow.
The best version of you.
Yeah, you're really sharing some great information here. I hope that you guys are really leaning into this information because he's given the secret sauce, right? He just talked about the two things that allows you to be able to be who you are called to be, right? Stand in your own power and be unique like you're called to be. Like I am a firm believer that if we were all alike, man, life would be a little dull and boring. So since we're different, right, lean into it and own it at the end of the day. What's a myth about leadership or success that you believe needs to be dismantled immediately?
I think the one myth about leadership, and also when I say a myth, I want to define what a myth is according to Shea Brown, so you see it and I can put a context around it. The myth is what you expect leadership to do for you, right? And so the one thing you can do is remove the leadership and say, the leader is me. The leader is me. So I'm responsible for setting my own agenda. I'm responsible for setting my own goals, and I have complete control over what takes place. The myth is that someone else can control that. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm not in psychology, I'm not in counseling, but they had something called triggers, right? And this trigger is supposed to be, and I've been through a lot of counseling. I hate going to counseling, by the way, but I've been through lots of counseling. And they always think, well, this is something that could trigger you to feel a certain way, right? So it's kind of like saying a leader has dominion and control over you. I think the myth is that we do control our own destiny within reason. So if you take that out of it and say the only common denominator between me living the life I deserve, between me, that's you, and me having a life of fulfillment and a life of happiness and joy, if we take that, then we can debunk the myth of leadership and say, no, I'm going to lead myself to where I want to go. And from a book, The Greatest Salesman in the World, it's by Og Mandino, by the way. And he always says, I will persist until I succeed. And you persist, then guess what? The myth of leadership, someone having to take you somewhere, is a total different story. You actually control your own destiny. I think that's the one word. If you ask what's the one word that guarantees success and happiness in the world, if there was one word, just one word, and it's persist. Show me someone who continues to persist. Tell you what, show you someone that ain't out the game yet. And if you woke up this morning, which you do, and you have breath and you're breathing, which you are, and you're watching this now, no matter what time in history you're watching this, tell yourself, I can dismiss that myth of leadership. If they're going one way, I can go whatever way I want to go, and I will persist until I succeed. I will persist until I get the health I want. I will persist until I find the mate I want. I will persist until my business generates the revenue it wants. I will persist until I'm fulfilled, until I'm happy, until I've impacted humanity. If you have that mindset and that belief, leadership, not even a thing. You're a leader of one. before you're a leader of many. Adopt that mindset and persist.
Oh, I love it. Can I just say, everybody, that I told you that Shay Brown, he's humble, he's very modest, but he has a lot of amazing things going on. So, Shay, if you will, share with everybody how they can connect with you. And also, I want you to leave one last word with our audience for those listening who feel called to lead but question their power. What's your message to them as well? And I know you just
Sure.
said persist, but I know that there's a little bit more in there to that.
Sure. So the number one challenge facing entrepreneurs today is just not having enough revenue in the business to do all the things they want to do. So if you're doing really, really well right now, which is probably pretty cool, more revenue means you have more impact. More revenue means you can reach more people. More revenue means your company can do a bigger difference in the world. And if that's you and you're sitting in a place and saying, shit, I just want to generate more revenue and I would like to get a hold of the evergreen revenue model that you've used to build sales departments so you can generate 7 figures or more. If that's you, then I want to connect. And I'm going to give you one website to go to, because when you go there, you just follow the instructions. I mean, do this. I mean, even if you're like someone right now, maybe business is tough. My promise to you is that we'll have a conversation. Go over to www.ceosalesagency.com, www.ceosalesagency.com. Now, when you go to www.ceosalesagency.com, just follow the directions, put your first name, your last name, your phone number, your email. We're going to send you how to build a 7-figure sales team playbook. That's my gift to you. But we'll also have a one-on-one conversation so we can talk about the strategy, not only for your business, not only the structure for your business, but the sales system that will help you not only generate more sales, but have more impact. So I just want to leave that out there for all the CEOs and the entrepreneurs out there. That's the gift for you. My closing comments to Dr. Tabatha and the entire Iconic Pioneers podcast and all that you're doing. Let me first say, Dr. Tabatha, I appreciate you. I appreciate your husband, by the way. I know he's behind the scenes out there doing some amazing things. And I appreciate the whole family that you have working together. If you haven't had an opportunity to attend any of Dr. Tabatha Russell's events or anything that she's doing, you'll see that you'll feel like you're part of the family. And that's really, really special. It's hard to create that. You can't buy that. You can't write a check for it. But it's something that comes from the inside. So thanks for all you're doing and all the impact that you're having. For everyone else out there, I'll close with these comments. There I was on a stage. I was giving a talk to about 600 people, and they're in the financial planning and insurance agency. And I was given 30 minutes, and I was prepared to give 30 minutes on how they could build their independent businesses. So although they were part of other agencies, they're independently operate in there. And I was excited. Now, I wasn't a featured speaker, right? I was just one of the people that was there, but I was still excited. And then the host came over to me and said, Jay, you only have 5 minutes. Now, I only had 5 minutes because they were running behind and I wasn't a featured speaker. When you're not the featured speaker, that's what happens. Your time is sliced. I was prepared for 10 to 15, not 5, okay? I'm always prepared for my time to get sliced for some reason. So I thought to myself, what could I say? Like, what could I say to all of you right now if I had 5 minutes and I don't? I probably only have 2. So let me share what I share with them. And Derek, sitting in that audience, shared with me 6 months later the impact it had on his life. And just know that his life was forever changed, not because of Shay Brown, but because he heard these 4 words. And so I got on stage and I said, I have 4 words. I have 4 words that I want to share that if you implement what I'm about to tell you, my promise to you, and I can't make many promises, but this I can promise, your life will change. And it was a hush on the audience. And I stood there and grabbed the mic and I said, here are the 4 words. Jot these 4 words down your notes. Jot these 4 words. Make sure you jot these 4 words down your notes. Get a paper now. Get it now. Get it now. And they're getting their phones and stuff out. And then I said these 4 words. Do what you know. I said, you're not going to be blown away by that. For all my Christians out there, you're not going to start shouting. And I'm not going to ask you to shout. This is not a shouting message. This is do what you know. And if you focus on doing one thing, because one idea implemented is better than 1,000 ideas you know right now, my promise to you is that 30 days from now, you'll be in a much different position. Eat less sugar. I promise you, your body's going to feel a little bit differently, right? If you're an entrepreneur, get in front of more people and talk about how you solve a problem. I promise you, you'll see your income go up. take a moment to spend time with the ones you love the most and be present, like when you're there, be there, I promise you there'll be a strong connection. So here's the question. What do you know you should already be doing? Go ahead and write it down right now. That's one thing you know you should be doing. Like, you know what? If I did this, it'd make a change in 30 days. If I just did this, it don't matter which one. But I want you to remember these words. Do what you know. You don't need another webinar. You don't need another book. You don't need another motivational thing scrolling through something online. Just do what you know you should do. You do that. And here's my promise to you. Not only will you be an iconic leader, but you'll have an iconic change on the world. That's my message. Do what you know, because you got what it takes already. You're already successful. You're already amazing. You're an iconic leader.
I love it. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for tuning in to Iconic Leaders, where we don't just build brands, we build blueprints for generations. Remember, icons aren't born, they're built by those bold enough to lead unapologetically. Until next time, keep leading, keep building, and keep breaking every limitation. Thank you so much, Shay, for being here on today.
Thank you.
This is iconic pioneers. Hear the story unfold, where the fearless lead and the truth gets told. Every voice legendary, every lesson precise. Often with wisdom, Dr. Tabatha Russell on the mic. Press play. Stay ready. The movement starts now.